Gonna riff on flow for an hour.
Wicked. Here we are. Another episode of Living Life in the Flow Zone. Here we go. I'll let you introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are.
Man, okay. I'm Elphie Coyle. I am a serial or parallel entrepreneur with a number of different enterprises. My two main ones are the Online Entrepreneur Incubator, which is a business accelerator, which helps owners of six-figure businesses design their businesses to work without them in under 6 months. Also have, as part of that, a book recently printed called The Financial Freedom Formula.
The Financial Freedom
Formula.
Financial Freedom Formula. Triple F.
Triple F. Co-authored that with Jason Chen. He was one of my mentees, and basically he downloaded all of the thoughts and experiences and processes that I've gone through over the last 15 years, so that I didn't have to work a day in the last 10 years, which is cool. Which kind of led me, on that process of getting interested in flow and maximizing my peak states many years ago. The other thing I have is a video game company and training academy, which gives over 180 kids around the country a chance to earn money and make video games. It's cool.
So a video game, what exactly, tell us more about the video game thing?
It's called Lightmesh Studios. It's a video game company and training academy.
Training academy. So you train people to make video games, or?
Yep. Train young students how to make video games. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. How'd you get into that?
Man, I set up a couple of phone shops about 9 years ago to run by themselves, and then I played Battlefield 2 for about 6 months. And I kind of got bored of that, and I wasn't getting any better at playing the game. So, because I wasn't going to turn pro at that, I thought let's start a video game business because I love video games and I love business. So that's how that started. And essentially, we started making games, and then found that we could actually help kids. The government was happy to provide some funding to help kids learn how to make games. And essentially, back then, parents were still very big on, games don't lead anywhere, and so I was keen on helping to change the course of that perception of Australia and have Australia be at the forefront of video games in the long term.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, man. But keen to chat with you and your crew. I know there's a bunch of people listening in and keen to give them some value today. So I believe we're here to riff about flow.
Let's riff on flow. Let's riff on whatever comes through, man.
Awesome. That's cool. I'm keen for that. So, all right. So for me, I was just thinking, actually, in prepping for this podcast, it's almost like the booking of the chat actually helped to cultivate one of the most, productive and expansive and connected and peak flow states I've ever had. So I'm coming straight off the back of that. I'm in the recovery phase of that. So that's very cool. It's interesting to, I don't know if you would have connected everyone with things like Stealing Fire by Stephen Kotler. So Stealing Fire is Stephen Kotler and Jamie Wheel. They've basically been researching flow for the last 5 years and working with Google and using biofeedback and all these other mechanisms to be able to actually measure the flow state and demystify the flow state.
I know about the Flow Genome Project.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm also coming off the back of their Flow Fundamentals course about 2 months ago, completed. And that was great for reworking all of my rituals and all the things that I've sort of worked on over the years and discovered or just created as a process, just through being interested in being more productive and enjoying every moment more. So like my life methodology and my life motto is to make divine love with the moment, build towards the best, and prepare for the worst. So
slow that down and repeat that.
To make divine love with the moment, build towards the best, and prepare for the worst.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. That sounds applicable across a wide spectrum.
Yeah, it's something that I can bring into basically every moment of my life and have it have my body not be carried away or my heart, take over. it's kind of like this perspective that really helps me guide my life to where I am now. Yeah, man.
So there was something you mentioned earlier which I cannot recall for the life of me. So let's just fast forward on it. But rewinding to which business did you start first?
Oh, I started the video game company. About 9 years ago.
So that was your first business that you opened?
Oh no, God! The first business I had was when I was 14, and I had I used to go around to my parents' friends' houses and fix their computers, and I saw that I could make $50 for doing 5 minutes work. So for a 14-year-old kid, this is like, well, why am I going to go do the job thing, right? And I saw both my parents are cleaners, and they're working their asses off, every day, and not really getting a hell of a lot of traction. So I started questioning school, got thrown out of math class, saying, where am I going to use this sine, cos, and tan stuff in real life? And just got really interested in wisdom, right? Practical knowledge. So I spent my grade 12, I spent most of in nearly every chemistry class under the table with a book, with personality books and all kinds of books.
Amazing.
And then so I never went to university. My parents told me the most I'd have ever become in life is a Harvey Norman salesman if I didn't go to uni. So I thought, no, I'm not going to go to uni. I'll just go. I kept working at a computer shop that I got a job in when I was 15, and then kept working there through on Saturdays through till 1920.
What year are you talking about?
Sorry?
What year is this, 2014?
Well, that would have been when I first earned an ownership in a computer business, which was what I was leading to. That would have been about 2001, 2002.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. And so
computers were just becoming the internet, Netscape, Pentium 3 or something around that time?
They already had the dot-com bubble.
Yeah.
But they were still sort of ramping up, and definitely not a part of everyday culture as it is now, every moment culture almost. So my sort of obsession with tech, and I used to be into programming and all these very technical aspects of computers, definitely came in handy. And borrowing from E-Myth, it was the they talk about it being the three parts of being in business, the technician, the manager, and the owner. And so that was my technical skill. I knew computers really well, but I recognized that wasn't going to give me the freedom that I was seeking. So my big trigger my big hot button was freedom, still is freedom. I just used that skill to be able to become a manager and then eventually an owner in that business. And then I sold my part in that business about 4 years later.
So where did that drive come from? Did your parents friends? Did you have cousins or brothers or sisters or people around you that you got entrepreneurial spirit?
I had no entrepreneurs around me. There were only a couple of, and I can point to the very, very specific moments that made a massive difference. It was feeling, like seeing the system and just going, my parents are kind of getting screwed over here. Like it's kind of rigged against them. But I recognize, and even like you look at laws and taxation laws and all the things rigged for people who are owners, right? So the biggest takeaway is to become an owner rather than a consumer, an owner or creator, and so I got given on my 18th birthday Think and Grow Rich by a family friend, and consume that book, and that did shift my thinking massively. And another one,
this is Napoleon Hill, right?
Yeah, Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, love
another one on, this is way back in the day, Jamie McIntyre did what I wished I learned in school but didn't, something like that, like the book title, something like that. And he was giving away books before it was cool to give away books. Right, this is back in like 2002, right? You could walk into an accountant's office and he would have 20 copies of his book there being given away. So, I grabbed that book as well, and it definitely helped shift mindset. So mindset, and wrapping it all the way back to my book, which is the Financial Freedom Formula, and there's 6 components. So there's mindset, ownership, cash flow, execution, systems, and people are the 6 parts of it. So mindset is where it all begins.
So are they in chronological order the way you said them?
They are kind of linked. I mean, the ownership's kind of a funny one, but it's more mock ESP, so you can remember it. Pretend ESP, mock ESP.
MOK ESP.
MOC is cash flow. Yeah. They are definitely just a quick explanation on the formula while we're here. Effectively, the first 3 parts are of equal weighting, and the last 3 parts are effectively 1 part. So the execution, systems, and people are collectively as important as cash flow, which is collectively as important as mindset, and collectively as important as ownership.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like if you just distill it into a short story of what that would look like as someone who's not doing all those things and someone who is, once they've got all those things sorted? What's the difference, or what does that look like in action?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So there's obviously the formula, and they're the aspects that are important at every stage of our life. But it's more about the context first. I would look at where we are in regards to wealth. And so the 3 aspects I talk about in the book is the virtuous spiral, the vicious spiral, and the dynamic spiral. So starting from the bottom is the vicious spiral. So that's where, we're losing money, and where this can't be bothered anymore, and there's this negative spin that's getting worse and worse.
Is that like a downward spiral?
Downward spiral. That's the tiny downward spiral like that, down to nothing. And then there's the dynamic spiral, which is where, it can be very exciting, but it can also be very exhausting. Kind of like, when am I going to not have to keep doing this? And at the same time, it's, wow, there's all these new things and opportunities that are coming across. I've got these clients, I'm really enjoying and engaging with my workflow and my business, but it's not quite at the virtuous spiral. So the virtuous spiral is where everything is working, opportunities are coming to you, or to us, rather than us having to go out and seek them, and of course the money flows quite well at that point, and the time and the energy all come from being in that virtuous spiral. And we can move up and down each of these different things at different times. I was in a vicious spiral last year. You could be financially free and in a vicious spiral. Like, it's just called being irresponsible.
And what's the key? Is there a key kind of indicator for each of those? It's like, if you're doing X, then you're probably going to be experiencing a vicious spiral. If you're doing Y, it's most likely you're going to be in a dynamic spiral. And if you're doing Z, it's more likely that you're going to be in a virtuous spiral. Or is there any particular actions or mindsets that you're going to have on that would indicate where you are in that 3?
Good question. It's very, very hard to identify specific things. Like, generally people can go, okay, that's where I'm kind of in this one. And the actions are applicable to all 3 at all the time, but obviously the focal point is different depending on where we're at, right? So when in a vicious spiral, we need to start measuring our money to stop the bleed. All right, the first thing is stop the bleed. So to cut expenses, remove employees, like move into a van, whatever it takes.
This is kind of infrared type stuff. If we're talking wealth dynamics,
related to people who know Roger Hamilton's, it would be definitely infrared style.
So we're just talking wealth dynamics there. If anyone's interested in checking out more about the wealth stuff, wealth dynamics is actually where we met physically in person, isn't it?
It is. It is. It is one day. I took a couple of day course in Melbourne.
Yeah, coming up again soon, actually.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to be in Sweden at the time.
Okay.
I have tickets, so I'm just going to park my tickets off the Brute. But
Alpha and I will be there.
Awesome. Yeah, you have to catch up with Brute. She'll be there. Yeah.
Cool, man. And when did you release that book?
I haven't launched it. I've just printed it. Just using it for. You can buy it online. You can still go to www.oeincubator.com and grab a copy before it's been officially launched. Already getting some cool feedback from people. There's a cool little bonus in the back that people are activating, which means it's getting into people's hearts and souls, and it's making a difference. So I'm very, very glad for that.
Amazing.
Mhm. So I look in there around, how do we, is there more of a formulaic approach to kind of knowing where we are? And I haven't really thought it through much, but I think I'm coming back to, it's you kind of know, you kind of got to feel, oh, I'm in that spiral. I'm like, my head's all over the place. I haven't got I'm not doing my ritual anymore. Like I know my ritual falls out the window, and my relationship starts to suffer, health starts to suffer.
So it's like they're the indicators here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The one thing that came through, one of the reasons why I asked that question was, I imagine virtuous cycle. I have associations come up where it's like, I'm guessing if you're like applying the principles of the universe, essentially, what you give is what you get. If you're applying these kind of, the laws of compound interest, things like this, like if you're just giving way more value than you're looking to take or receive, all of these things, I imagine that they would sort of link up with that kind of virtuous cycle, or
Yeah, it does. But there is something to be said about like value changing hands. Like obviously, it only changes hands when they see there's a valuable exchange. But just something I'm hearing in what you said there, hey man, is that people, will be able to, and a lot of people have a good amount of money to spend on things that they perceive as valuable. So, I've got a startup called Sensual Freedom, which is about bringing more intimacy into everyday life. And it's interesting to see that, people in my tribe, in my community that are all surrounded by love and sensuality and intimacy, they're less willing to spend $150 on a, mentoring support over the month than somebody who hasn't got access to those things. So perceived value, it's interesting. Sort of one of the things I'm exploring right now is like, how do we leverage this value for ourselves whilst also providing massive value to the world? So finding the people out there that really need this stuff and really see it as important and valuable, and therefore are willing to pay us, a good amount of money on that so that we can be highly leveraged. So,
Is that a value thing? Is that like if you don't value whatever, like yourself or your product, or I know I see that a lot in the community as well. People saying like starting up something, and there might be a massage therapist, there might be whatever starting a business, might be a cleaning business, whatever it might be a musician, and or some sort of healing, a massage, something like this, and they were like, "Oh, I can't charge you," or they I can't take your money, or they kind of have this kind of nervousness around just being clean around receiving or taking payment, or like a value exchange. Is that something that you found?
I think they haven't got a high value on money, and money is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, energy of the third dimension. And it's an agreed energy, and it makes stuff happen, and we all know that's the case. So, but a lot of us, when we go super spiritual, including myself, man, like I really did not value money until the point where I was losing, $1,500 a day for a couple of months there, and I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I should start caring about money again. I think it's just a value we have on money, and maybe there's a self-esteem thing connected to it, or just not even having it be a focal point. It's like if I don't, it's not that I hate my body if I don't exercise for 3 weeks. It just could be because I've got other priorities, and I've said I want to play video games instead, whatever it is. So I think finance and money, because it is such a powerful energy, needs to be one of people's major focuses. So I've written a mini book called The Epic Life Game, which is about transforming real life into the ultimate game. I read that about 7 years ago, and back then the 5 skill trees, or the 5 sort of focal points for life, were financial, interpersonal, intellectual, physical, and spiritual. And so it kind of almost feels a bit funny to put financial in there as a whole section of life, but really without it, what happens? So hard to like. I've tried to, even like 2 years ago, tried to start up little sites, community sites where people contribute articles and trying to get them to do work without paying them is a very difficult task. It's not worth the energy output, man.
Yeah, it takes a lot of effort.
Yeah. Mm.
Totally. And in terms of some interesting, I imagine you've had some interesting experiences, life experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any that stand out for you that have shaped you into who you are now or where you're at now? Like, how did you get into flow in the first place?
Yeah, I think it's all about that motive, that drive, gaining that drive, having certain things that have happened in my environment, because environment dictates performance, that have caused me to go along this path that is all about sort of minimizing my required output. And then now, more recently in the last year, maximizing my output, but maximizing that, like highly leveraging that, you know what I mean? Like actually doing solid work, but having it go far. So, you know, there's been some very big things that have happened. You know, I've been through my second marriage now. So that breakup, there was lots of lessons learned in that. What else has happened? There's so many different things. I was reflecting on that really amazing flow state that happened, you know, recently, and yeah, there was an openness to discovering, um, just an openness to allowing for the flow to occur. Like it was well set up because I had done a lot of work over the years prior to, and focus over the years prior to. It's not like this is one magic key or thing. I'm trying to identify something, but there's nothing there, man. It's been a life that's been focused towards that, that has helped produce it. But there
And
are definitely things that I've started integrating, and I do believe now it's far, far less about these big epiphanies or things that happen, and more so about the little tiny choices made every single day.
the moment to moment.
Just more so yes, we can moment to moment, great, but more so just the daily things.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you know, I know now that if I intermittent fast and, you know, do 15 pull-ups a day, my body looks better than if I eat normally and go to the gym 3 times a week, you know, working an hour a day, hour every one of those 3 times. So it's the devil is in the details, and it's like it is about sweating the small stuff, but it's picking the right small stuff to sweat.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
The
And
things that are going to be with us, and that's the things that are the right small stuff to sweat are the things that are going to be with us 10 years from now.
the
When
things
all
that,
the parties and all, you know, even the friends and whatever else has been around on and the entertainment, whatever it is, what is still with us 10 years from now, that's the important thing to focus on.
yeah, it's big.
And to consistently do 1% on every day, and like actually improve every day that particular thing that's so important. So that's why I got about a year ago hyper focused into like what I'm eating and you know, when I'm sleeping, all those things that we do every single day, those habits have a compound effect, just same as compound interest.
It's almost like a groove. I think of it as getting into the groove. When we talk about, I was just really in the groove. It can similarly, it's like I was in flow, but I was, you know, if you're just playing the groove on the guitar, or just really in it, like you're deep in it. And I just imagine that groove, like the groove of a vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the vinyl's turning, the needle's in the groove.
Mm.
And like the deeper you are in the groove, that the deeper you stretch that groove in. If you think about it as like a cave drawing or something, you know, it's the deeper that goes in, it's going to be around for thousands of years if the groove is deep enough, like over and over again. Or similar to the idea of, you know, conditioning the finger tap to, if you tap your finger every day like 100 times and you're just tapping, and then you can have that touch of death. Or, you know, like the Kill Bill, which is,
Yes.
you know what I mean? It's like that conditioning, that daily thing. And that's why I'm so big on daily practice. I'm huge about doing it, whatever it is you do, just do it every single day. Like, and it might sound a bit extreme, but looking longer term, like, you know, one of my goals is to have done 10,000 days in a row of Qigong. You know, and I count the days, I'm day 534, but it's like, I can see the energy bar, going. Like I know that there's an end. My ego is not freaking out, going, "Oh, fuck, I'm gonna have to do this forever," which I think is a common mistake when people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna work out every day, or I'm gonna exercise every day, or I'm gonna," they make these crazy goals, and their ego's like, "No, you're not, dickhead. What are you fucking talking about?
Yeah.
There's no way." So I give it an end point where it's like, okay, my ego can relax and go, all right, cool. There's an end point. Once we get there, we can reconsider.
That's interesting. My ego reacts differently. It doesn't like having that endpoint, and it doesn't like being locked in forever. But for me, it's really helped to create this ritual that evolves based on my needs it doesn't evolve every day, but it does evolve every few weeks and has different aspects put in and put out over time. And then have accountability to that. So I have an accountability coach that calls me every day to check in, have I done my ritual? What am I, if I haven't, do it now. Yeah.
So
There's
important.
two different perspectives on that one. That's cool.
So important. I feel that is super important. What you just mentioned there about having an accountability coach who checks in every day. There's one guy, I can't remember his name. It's going to do my head in. I'm not even going to think about about his name, but he's like a corporate coach and works with many CEOs, and he works specifically with leadership, and he works with the top execs and the managers to really help them be better leaders. And this guy's worked with countless of the big, we're talking, Fortune 500 companies and whatnot. Goldsmith, maybe is his last name. Something like this. And he pays somebody $40,000 a year to do exactly what you said, accountability coach. He's designed a set of 25 questions. I'm just making that number up. It's about that. And he's every single day at 6:00, he gets them to call him and ask the questions that he's designed and to ask him. And he's like, that $40,000 is the best money he spends.
Amazing, isn't it? Yeah. I've had the same relationship with my accountability coach for the last year. Just like changed how he can support me, and what he can ask, and what am I doing? Yeah.
Are there some specific questions he just asks the same questions every day, or they change every now and again, like you said?
So currently he's asking me, am I doing my success day ritual sheet, which I'll go through in a minute. Actually, I've got it here in front of me. And have I planned out my day, my next day, in other words, and have I fulfilled today's day, because we talk in the afternoon, have I fulfilled what I said on my calendar? Is my integrity in check with what I said that I'm going to do when I said I'm going to do it, as far as like specific new appointments that I've put in? And then as a follow-on to that, I also have like these kind of optional things, these things that I'd like to do that are kind of like everyday recurring appointments that I would like to do. Have I done those, and what's my relationship to that? And then just what's coming up around all that? Is there any blockages? Oh, the other thing is my massive, my big, hairy, audacious goal for the day.
Is that like your big frog?
Yeah, my big frog. Eat that frog. Did I get that done? And yeah, that's about it.
And it's like, what, a 15-minute chat?
Nah, not even that.
5 minute, 10 minutes.
Sometimes it'll be a 10 or 15-minute chat if something's come up.
Amazing.
Take long.
Amazing. And talk to us more about that list that you said you got in front of you.
So I have at the top of it, obviously, the date. Then I have my primary objectives, which are, what are the things I want to do in life overall? And then, they're in order of priority. So the kind of things I need to do this year, kind of thing, at the moment, what's important. Then what's today's theme? So, there might be, it could be anything. It could be setting up we're doing a new program in Sweden. That could be the theme. I need to focus on that today, or the website specifically for that. But there could also be that can also be a theme. So it can be either an activity, or it can be just a state of being, or some kind of, the theme could be recovery, for example, for today. And then I have a few questions that I ask myself. So what am I feeling humbly grateful for? What am I feeling humbly grateful to the multiverse for? And so I'll answer that, and then I'll specifically pray, who do I love and pray blessing for, and why am I grateful for them? And so I'll actually write that out as being, here's the situation. I'll think of somebody and come up and actually go, well, in this situation, this is what this person's done, and this is the impact on me. And I'll
So it's specific and it's the benefits. It's not just like, oh, I'm grateful for the sun today. I'm grateful for.
It's situation, behavior, and impact. Yeah. And then it's communicating that to them. So I'll actually take that and go, hey, you're part of my, my morning gratitude. Just wanted to share this with you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Something I espouse a lot as well. Can relate to that. The power in that is incredible. I'll share a bit on that in a sec once you've gone through this.
So this first section's about showing up. So it's will I love? 3 questions about will I love in showing up. The third question is why am I totally fine, happy, and celebrating? That's an extra bit of go.
So it's like, is that an optional, or that's you force yourself to actually find it?
Well, yeah, no, because it goes deeper. Because once I've gone, I'm humble generally. Here's a very specific reason why I'm grateful myself.
So you're almost forcing yourself to be grateful and finding you're forcing your brain to focus on the things that are going well and good in your life.
Absolutely, yeah.
Super important, because what happens if you don't?
Well, our focus goes elsewhere. If our focus is kind of left to its own devices, it will do what it naturally does, which is just think of negative things or threats or create drama. It needs to have that engagement. If we don't consciously choose to give it something to engage with, it'll pick its own thing to do. And whilst I'm also very skeptical of ultra positive psychology, and there's a lot of damaging impacts, I believe, from people just going rah positive, everything's going to be awesome, and then meanwhile, like I was doing that when I was losing $1,500 a day. I'm like, it's all cool, I'll work it out, and just not taking action, right? Not taking any kind of focused action towards solving that problem.
Bit of realism and actual equilibrium, not just like one side of the coin living.
I think it's just about choosing, like really consciously choosing what we're going to be living into rather than letting the world choose it for us. Yeah. So that could be, if you just got dumped, it might be conscious to spend a whole week grieving and not run out and jump in bed with somebody that you find at a bar, right? That might be what we feel like doing. But yeah, it might not be the best thing for us.
Or self-harming and self-medicating and all that kind of stuff, and self-loathing and all that stuff. So all of those things I find is actually, they're a conscious decision. People go, oh, it's a reaction, but at some level they're choosing for those behaviors,
I think we always have the option of a choice. I think we can also choose to switch that off and just allow us to sort of be on autopilot if we're just not present and just going through the motions of reacting, as people say that they're reacting. But deep down, they know that they can make a choice anytime. Like they've always got that option. We've always got that option.
It's like consciously choosing to be unconscious.
Yes. So the second section is will I live? But first off, will I love, of course. That's the beginning of everything. So when I'm doing will I live, so it's about stepping up, the first thing I think about is what am I relegating? But there's so many things out in the world that the very first thing that I have to do, especially me, because I'm just like loving everything and wanting everything, is what am I saying no to today?
Super important.
And then the second is empowering. So what am I inspiring and holding another person accountable to today, and who? And then just, I might actually send that to that person as well, sort of remind them this is what's happening and what we've agreed is going to happen. And the third one is responsibility. So this is where I vividly describe and feel the primary missions that I have scheduled into my calendar, and I'm going to be powerfully successful in completing today.
Amazing.
And then the third section is will I matter? So giving back, what is my intention that is a gift to the multiverse? So this is an overarching intention without need to receive back. What is my wish? So I actually make a little bit of a wish and just go, this is what I'd wish.
So that first one, is that just an energy you want to put out there or emit or emanate, or is that something you'd like to receive necessarily? How does that play out if you were to give us an example?
So a couple of examples here. to have the financial freedom formula fundamentals be a massive gift and revenue stream for all influences connected to it. The very next day, my intention was to spread love through this universe. So yeah, it can be
specific or overarching.
holy shit. Sorry, to put aside my bullshit and give to this world that has given me so much, I choose that. Is another good one. Yeah, so it can be, it's an intention. So it can be as specific or as wide as possible.
Cool.
What is my wish, which is almost, I mean, obviously you kind of want it to be something that could be fulfilled. So it's grounded in reality, but it can be that sort of stretch of where we'd like to be.
So what would I like to move
The
into?
universe kind of had to do something good to make that happen.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be ridiculous. I won't have superpowers of flight just yet. But, I might bring on 3 times as many students as I've mapped into my figures, into my KPIs for this round of intake of students, for example, in my video game business. And the last one is, why am I here on planet Earth in this moment of history?
So is that kind of purpose?
That's sort of checking in on my life goal every day, checking in on my life purpose every day. And it will be different flavors of the same thing, but it's important to reinforce that, if anything, and to taste all the different flavors.
It's the groove, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just finding an extra way to groove in a little bit more, or like, yeah, it is just grooving in. And then, then there's a way of being I take on. So who am I being in showing up, stepping up, and giving it back? So wrapping all those things together. Am I being diligent, focused, committed, relaxing, love? They're the 5 that I just wrote there.
Yeah.
And then I just map out, number of pull-ups. Have I had my bulletproof coffee in the morning? Do my treadmill, 5-minute meditation, vital greens, gut bacteria, pills. Have I had all those things in the afternoon? So yeah, it's just actually keeping myself to those habits that make a massive difference.
Tracking, the importance of documenting and tracking.
That's right. And I also do write down actually what learnings do I have from the day, quotes, things that have made more or less have made me more or less happy, conscious, or successful.
As in both more or less?
Well, I'm actually just questioning why I put the slash in there, more/less. Well, I suppose it's a lesson, right? So if I've gone through a thing, that's what I'm saying there. If I've had some massive bad thing happen, then I want to learn from that and not repeat that.
Cool. And how long does this take you to complete these?
About 6 minutes.
Amazing.
Hmm.
So you kind of just put aside, because I imagine that some people can look at that and spend an hour articulating on each one, but you kind of put that aside and just go, just answer straight from that state of flow.
And it's usually off the back of, like, so when I first wake up, the very first things, I have lots of kisses and intimacy for a few minutes when waking up with my partner, and then I read a daily Stoic, because I've been studying Stoicism. I've got a daily Stoic meditation, and then straight off the back of that is usually when I do this.
Amazing. Start your day. It's the importance of that start of the day is incredible. It's like it keeps coming back.
Years ago, I would get up at 11 o'clock in the morning every day, and it just my whole life, because I had that freedom, but I didn't have. I was missing that inspiration, that purpose, really.
And how's your life changed since, or what's the difference between then and
now? I had life give me a couple of bitch slaps. So the was a big one. Then a relationship one as well, and those two things made me go, well, what's it all about? Should I live something greater than my pleasure and my freedom? Because that's the thing. Once we've got freedom, it is a harder thing. I found it a hard thing to share and spread, because it feels like work, and anything that feels like hard work, it kind of goes against freedom in a way. But I'm really finding that this structure and this these kind of rituals actually give me more freedom, or more specifically, more of the freedom that I actually really want, rather than just blanket freedom where you can't enjoy all of that anyway. It's good to have it, but we can't go around and do everything that there is out there to be done. So we have to find the focus that freedom. So really good point. So directing that flow towards leveraged creation is kind of the one statement that I would say is covers all of what we're talking about today. Is directing flow towards leveraged creation.
Yeah, it's something I talk about a lot with meditation. I'm big on mindfulness meditation, qigong, presence, this sort of idea. Mm-hmm. For me, in my experience, being in flow for flow's sake is I wouldn't say pointless, but kind of there is no kind of, if you're not pointing it at anything or utilizing it for something, like and even if you go back again and you go sort of enlightenment for enlightenment's sake, and it's like, there's still a point, because you're
wood and carry water, right?
Yeah, you're clearing the sankharas for the whole of humanity or whatever, if you're talking Vipassana, or there's still a point there. You're doing it, but in the kind of fields that we're in, even just this kind of world we're in, with the different areas and elements of the family life, you got the business life, those different areas you were talking about, actually having, like, what's the point of being present? What's the point of being in the moment? What's the point? Okay, cool. Now that we are, all right, let's develop it. Let's develop the habit of getting in flow, getting in the moment, in presence. Once we've developed it, or even, once we've got that point, we've got that discipline, we've got that stoicism, whatever you want to call it, having an outlet in it and intention to go towards, I think is vitally necessary, especially if you're somebody like us who's into enhancement, into enhancing our experience, into peak performance, and getting shit done. Having that, and then actually going, all right, cool, I've got all this energy. Why am I cultivating this energy just to make an energy ball and shoot light overhead? So it's cool, fun, but what can we actually do with this energy? How can we make the world a better place? How can we live more in line with our purpose? How can we lift up others? How can we, just be a positive or be a beneficial presence on earth? For me, that's what excites me. How can I personally fulfill more of my potential, and how can I help others do the same thing, and how can I help them step into their destiny? For me, that's what lights me up. It's not going to be that for everyone, but I find just doing the practice for the practice sake, I probably wouldn't do what I do if that was all I was doing.
That's cool. That's the reason why I'm not much of a Buddhist and more of a tantrist, is that it's not about, for me, it's not about stepping away from mission or from connection with others. It's about stepping. For me, it's about doing both, and it's funny because I went to say it's about just being immersed in that other person and being immersed in mission, but I think there's lessons in both. There is definitely lessons in just taking a step back and focusing on the self, stepping away from mission for a time, and for a time I mean like for that 10 minutes, but after, or whatever, maybe an hour of our meditation. But after that, then what are we going to do? We're made to be used. These bodies are made to be, burnt until,
It's energy.
Sorry?
It's energy. It's fuel. It's and if we're building that energy up, it's same as the sublimation. If it's sublimating energy, it's it's got all this energy now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do with it? I think is one of the most important questions. What do I want? Asking ourselves that over and over again. Often people don't actually think for themselves in that way. Thought about it. I ask people that all the time. What do you want? What do you want to create? What's your vision? What's your big dream? I haven't really thought of it. Have ideas.
And that's why I think this ritual is the most powerful thing that I give to anyone, because just simply having that in place and taking that one challenge, do it for 30 days. You don't have to be confronted with that immediate question, have to come up with an answer on the spot. It's just every day, why am I on this planet? Why am I on this planet? And then eventually it'll become clear for that person. They can spend 7 days Vipassaing away, or they can just spend 5 minutes answering the question, or doing their best to answer a question every day until it unfolds in front of them, because their real activation system will start looking for that purpose anyway. Once we've primed it. What we're doing, we're priming our mind and priming our bodies for what's coming. rather than just kind of reacting to what happens as the day goes. And I totally get it. Many people are like working away in their jobs and they're doing the 9 to 5 thing, and it's hard to find. Well, they think it's hard to find the space, but believe me, if we can find time for Netflix, we can find 10 minutes to do that.
Totally.
Mm.
And break down flow a little bit. You said you just recently finished with the flow. What was that thing that you mentioned earlier?
So yeah, the flow fundamentals
Just,
course, which I would recommend.
yeah, give us a quick rundown of what you took from that, and also where people can find out more about that.
Yeah, so they can just look up flow fundamentals, Jamie Wheel, or just look up flow fundamentals course. It'll come up very quickly. But
is
there's a
Jason
couple of
Silver part of that?
Yeah, he is. He's one of the directors on that. So they talk about ecstasis, which I think is just because that's the Latin, and they want to sound smart, and they don't want to use the word ecstasy as being the thing that they're seeking. So ecstasis is this state of being in flow, which is selflessness, timelessness, effortlessness, and richness are the 4 ways of being that come up in that.
So slow that down again. Say it again.
Yep. So selflessness, right?
Meaning what?
So it kind of means like where you lose your selfhood, you lose your perspective of being the ego death, basically, like a mini ego death. Yeah. And so that's like, when I had that state recently, it was like everyone, like it literally is that feeling of everyone is me and I'm everyone. Like they're all here to create something for this spark of divine God, enjoying itself, right? And in the same way that I'm there for them to have that same experience.
Cool. That's
and then timelessness. So basically, when we hit into a peak flow state, our prefrontal cortex switches off, which is actually where we calculate time, and we have a perspective of time. So, it just has us be completely present, 100% present. Effortlessness. So this is actually interesting enough. It is also, firstly, it feels like you don't have to try. It's just happening naturally. But a lot of that is actually happening because of neurochemical changes in the brain. So, norepinephrine, dopamine, endorphins, all these things, oxytocin, are all being let off at certain times in the flow cycle. And then the last one is richness. So just they describe it as with executive function diminished, attention focused intently on the present moment, and pattern recognition amplified, we get upstream of our umwelt or perceived reality. We experience more raw data in real time.
This is the richness of vibrance, aliveness. This is when you come out of a meditation and you open your eyes and everything's bright. Or if you're surfing a wave, or if you're whatever it is, having amazing sex or whatever, if you're writing it, you're just totally in it and everything's just like alive.
And from our perception, it's this amazing aliveness. That's talking about the actual subjective experience of being in flow. But they have mapped a lot of these brain waves in our brain when we're going through flow states. And so the 4 stages of flow is we go through struggle, release, flow, and recovery.
This is where you are now.
I'm definitely in recovery right now. And I could feel it. And in fact, even this afternoon, making love, I felt, there was more of a draw to do that, to kind of cause the serotonin and the oxytocin be released. Like the body knows what it needs. And so, I found myself wanting to have slow lovemaking, right? Because I've been through this massive flow state beforehand. And in the flow state, I didn't feel any kind of compulsion to necessarily even, be having that connection sexually, because I was very satisfied in the flow state. The state itself, the experience itself was enough. And that's why, for me, it's kind of like sensuality is something that really has that feeling of flow rather than sexuality. Sexuality's got a bit of of course, it can be very flowy, but it's kind of that experience of just before sexuality, which for me feels like flow.
Can you break it down real quick? So
Yeah, sure. So I'll take
Struggle.
a struggle. That's where we're mainly having beta brain waves going off. And
Give us an
so,
example. What might this look like? What might be?
so struggle for me was yesterday. My big struggle was I had to create an arm of my business like in 2 weeks, right? Like a whole new arm of a business in 2 weeks, which because I was certain time limits and contracts pending, all this kind of stuff, right? So bottom line was I had to create a website like in a day. So I was like, how the heck am I going to do that? Thankfully, I had a lot of stuff prepared from before, but it was a sense of struggle. It was a sense of, and there was a lot of cortisol and the stress hormones going off, the stuff that's happening during the day when we're doing our work, right? And then so how I created the website was I struggled with each part. I just went through and smashed out. Basically, I don't use the word struggle, but I smashed out each part as much as I could until the brain kind of just gave up, right? And then all the points that I was missing started to fall into place, and all the creative, cool ideas started coming through because I was almost entering into like that flow state. And because of that day, for me, that cycle went for a whole 24 hours. Later on, the dopamine and the endorphins were going off. So when we release, it's alpha brain waves, and there's nitric oxide going off in our brains. And then we go to the flow state, and that's where theta and gamma brain waves are most found. And dopamine and endorphins, they get released in the brain. So, and then from there, the recovery, which is the delta brain waves, if you measure it, and the serotonin and oxytocin being released in the brain.
Come back and nurture and fill you back up.
And so the body and the brain naturally produces this stuff. So there's an interesting study they did where they saw that people could either take pills, antidepressant pills, to have them do better, or they can. So that's actually ingesting the chemicals themselves, or they can cause the brain to do it through biofeed through basically movement. So they can go out and do a 20-minute run and have the same impact, the same result, or they could actually do 5 gratitudes and will the brain into creating these chemicals. So we can either force it. I don't even know if to say force it, but we can either ingest it,
induce it
through movement, or will it, right? And I think we should use all 3 optimally. That's why I'm very conscious about what we put into my body.
Nutrition.
The nutrition, the fuel we're putting in every day does have a massive impact. See, I was one of those big believers in it's all about will. It's all about I can cause anything. I can create anything just by wishing for the pink elephant. It's going to turn up. And whilst I've had amazing experiences where I have said I'm going to earn $120,000 a year, put it onto a check in the bank of the universe, and then somebody came up to me 3 days later and offered me $120,000 a year. Yes, that stuff can happen, right? But they're just the little high points that we kind of look for. And then that for me, I was looking for and just writing off those.
The confirmation bias.
Yeah. And just going, I did this cool thing. I can talk about it for 2 years now and I don't have to do anything else cool in the meantime, right? Whereas by building these habits, by going, I'm going to consciously ingest vital greens every day or whatever it is that's going to be able to allow the brain to have that feeling. Or, if we do go out and party, then we have other things. Then, that's the way of causing it on the body. But then it's very important to physically move or sensually move, whatever is going to cause those chemicals to go off just through physical movement. And then also choose, also will it and be like, yes, it's going to happen.
That's the importance, isn't it, of the gratitude. Like you said, gratitude is one thing that I'm big on. Like, and eating. When I eat my food, I'm sprinkling like Salt Bay, the gratitude on my meal, and that's why people pray before they eat. It's like changing the molecular structure of what they're eating, putting it into the body. And movement is huge as well, like you said. Movement. I imagine that's part of the struggle as well. Like what you talk about to help you get into flow is actually the movement aspect. If it's easy, then it is, because effortlessness in my mind, like effortlessness and struggle, how do they relate? Like how can it be struggle and then how do you get the effortlessness?
So the effortlessness, so that the four states of timelessness, effortlessness, richness, and selflessness happen in the flow state.
Okay.
So to break it right down, so there's the four phases, which is struggle, release, flow, recovery, and just within that flow state, that's where those four things happen.
Okay.
The effortlessness and stuff doesn't happen in the struggle. It's an effort, and in fact, it's because of that struggle, because of that effort, that we get to experience the effortlessness.
You get to
It
release
wouldn't be a peak state if we didn't have other states. The idea is to experience those other states as little as possible, and the more trained we get, right, the better we get at spending more time in the flow state. It's just like, lessening the times in the other ones, and then the more trained we get in those, in minimizing recovery, struggle, release, and maximizing flow. But we'll have to have that, otherwise. And the bigger the struggle, sometimes the bigger the flow. So it's kind of like just getting used to that and knowing that's a part of life. I think we kind of, especially me, I was big on just getting rid of anything that was painful or effortful, and just wanting to cruise this life, man. And I've had that, and it has not been fulfilling. I mean, it's definitely a hell of a lot better than than the other alternative, right? But yeah, it's that struggle that really makes me feel fulfilled. So if we're not being challenged in some way, at least, to the level where we're able to handle the echelon that we've been able to reach, that struggle still has to be there, whilst at the same time safeguarding us against any kind of negative results. But yeah, one of the big things for me was actually just going, it's okay. Life is an uphill battle, so train in the rain with roller skates on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one. Train in the rain.
You alluded to something there when you spoke about the gratitude, and because I used to be a pastor, right? So I was big on prayer and meal prayer, and in the home always did that. And when I stepped away from the church, I didn't have that gratitude anymore. I didn't have something else to fill that hole, and I went into a couple of depressions. Like, it's kind of like almost like clockwork. Like, it can be actually. I blamed the breakups and whatever, right? I've had worse breakups since the breakups where I went into depressions and been totally fine, like beyond fine.
You saw the blessing, and then you're focusing your brain on what was actually there to be grateful about.
I was in that gratitude cycle. I was surrounded by tribe who were giving me that, that love and appreciation as well. So I was connected to people. The intimacy was there with other people, and not just focused on the one person. So I had relationships where I barely saw anyone, barely left the house, and just had my partner for like 2 or 3 years. I went from about 10 friends in Melbourne to over 200 within the space of 3 months, right? Just because I suddenly got connected to tribe, my tribe. Yeah.
And that, and talking about like scientific studies, I love these kind of studies. People want scientific proof. I'm a big anecdotal evidence kind of guy, like a bit skeptical. But totally open-minded and willing to try things on. It's like, as long as I've seen it, felt it. I find that funny. I'm really open-minded as long as I've seen it work. But talking about gratitude, and that's something, like, we won't do something unless it's obvious that it's going to benefit us, yeah? And one of the ones, I think it was, again, I'm terrible with names, it'll come to me. This guy, what is his name? I'm not going to get it, am I? And he done a study with a bunch of people. I don't know if it was 1,000 people or so. Broke them up into 3 groups of people. Now, the controls were the negative control, the neutral control, and there was the gratitude control. And so for 3 weeks only, 21 days, studying these people, and only asked them to do 3 things. At the end of the day, the negative control, write down all the negative things that happened throughout your day. The neutral control, just write down whatever happened in your day. And the third control, write down everything that you were grateful for throughout your day. Just a journaling, literally 5 minutes. And the findings from that were the negative control. You can imagine they had greater health issues, like higher blood pressure, hypertension, more feelings of depression, more feeling of feeling down, more aches and pains, and they complained a lot more. They're more feelings of sadness, depression, all this sort of stuff. Higher cortisol levels, higher adrenaline. The neutral control, they found that 60 to 70% of what they recorded were the negative events. So and they found from that in the amygdala, about 66% of the neurons that make up the amygdala are actually designed to look for threats in our environment, because obviously, if you're going back thousands of years, there's going to be real threats in our environment.
Yeah.
So useful back then. And then the gratitude control, 25% happier. They were, less cortisol, lower blood pressure, greater feelings of happiness, greater feelings and actual compulsion to help others and to interact with others. The big one for me when I read this and got excited about it was that they were more likely to take action towards their highest goals and dreams. They were actually working towards living their purpose and being involved and active members in society. So it's interesting how you can have these experiments and these scientific studies that do this, and cool. Science says it's like, just do it for yourself. I don't believe that. I'm like, let me try that myself, and then I do it myself and go, okay, cool. It's they match up,
Yeah, it's good I find it's good to go, okay, science or a whole group of people have done this thing and had this result, so I'll try that on for myself, knowing that we're all individual and very, very complex beings. So, but there's a good chance, there's just a chance that if something has worked for a lot of people, it would work for us.
Good.
That's like trying it on. I like trying things on like a jacket and see if it fits. And if it doesn't, just drop it. Find another jacket.
That's it. That's it. Cool, man. Is there anything that's exciting at the moment? Any recent findings or future happenings that you're working towards? Or that, any cool tidbits you've happened upon recently that you're like, this thing, getting excited about it?
For those who are connected with Roger Hamilton, I'm doing his certification, entrepreneur mentor certification training. So it's pretty exciting. I'll be doing that.
That's amazing.
So
you'll be working with entrepreneurs to help them set up
find their flow. To find their flow. So, and connecting with people through the Genius U platform, actually building a course as well on this Genius U platform. So that could be pretty cool. And that happens, looking at doing maybe a freedom course on that platform. Just I don't know. It's a constant stream for me. It's like not necessarily. And I was thinking about this yesterday, actually. Not necessarily getting excited about one particular thing anymore, because it's just constant things. For me, it's just been attuning myself to, my overarching theme. What am I trying to do in all of my life? And then what am I trying to do this year? And focusing, frankly, 80% of my time and effort and energy towards the thing I want to do this year, and 20% towards the stuff I want to do in my life. So, I spent years just going, I'm like on this spiritual, sexual, journey, because I didn't have to work. I was just running around, just chasing girls and just doing whatever felt good and felt flow. It didn't provide the fulfillment at the end of that. It did to a degree, but it doesn't feel as good as it does now, actually. Having the freedom, but then choosing to make concerted effort towards something feels great.
Yeah. It's like the one that comes to mind is like, if you do what is easy, life will be hard. And if you do what is hard, life will be easy.
Yeah. And I think it's just taken from Stoicism, knowing that hard stuff is there, and then we're going to create it for ourselves anyway if we don't go after it and choose which one we want to make hard. Or we'll make drama in our relationships, whatever. We will find hard. We're wired to find hard. Find the hard that's going to serve us best and serve the world best.
Amazing. Awesome, brother. I think we're going to wrap up. Thanks for the chat. We'll do it again sometime soon. Maybe the shoe will be on the other foot or something.
Yeah. I'd love to do that, man. I'd love to introduce you to my guys as well sometime. And big shout out to everyone there. I'd love to connect with anyone that feels resonant, on Facebook, just add me up on Facebook, or
How can
if they
people
want,
find you?
it's facebook.com/Elphie, ELPHIE. And then just send me a message and just say, you saw us on the podcast. And then professionally, if people do want to connect on that level, then there's the Online Entrepreneur Incubator. So oeincubator.com. So they can check that out and pick up the trainings and the mentors that we have up there as well. So, I love this chat, man. Thank you so much. And let's do it again sometime soon.
That's brother. Enjoy Sweden. I'm glad we could catch up before you went.
Yeah, likewise. Love you, man. Take care.
Brother.